Hello, welcome to the Marketing Alliance, a Colorado-based collective of B2B marketing and communications professionals. I'm Dana Young and I lead the programming team. The Marketing Alliance's name is new, but formerly known as BMA Colorado chapter. We've been creating a network of business professionals for over 60 years. Our mission is to provide networking and learning opportunities for people just like you. As a member of the Marketing Alliance, you can learn, network, and build skills and experience. In fact, becoming a member of the Marketing Alliance just became easier with our new member pricing of $129 annually. More information, if you're interested, is available on our website. Today's panelist discussion is on what marketers can do to support sales during tough times and is co-presented by the Marketing Alliance partner, CapSumo. Our moderator today is Mike Sweeney. I'll introduce Mike, who will then introduce our panelists. They'll then dive into a Q&A for about 30 to 35 minutes. Towards the end of the webinar, we'll open up for questions from registrants, so please feel free to place your questions in the Q&A as we go. However, a reminder that we won't actively take questions until the end of the presentation. Our panelists will also share their contact details at the end of the webinar. Okay, let's get started. Our moderator, Mike Sweeney, is a 25-year marketing industry veteran who has developed integrated program and communication strategies and campaigns for some of the biggest brands in the world. In his current role leading intelligent demand growth consulting, Mike is able to lean on his experience of advising and guiding clients while connecting their hopes and dreams to ID's set of unique solutions. Mike is curious by nature, which makes him a great choice to moderate today's discussion. Mike, can you let us know a little bit about how you've applied your natural curiosity to marketing and revenue transformation?
Thanks, Dana. So looking forward to tonight's conversation. But yeah, you know, for me, I'm sort of an agency lifer, survivor. I've been doing agency side work for a long, long time, generally leading client account teams, and decided that, you know, I was ready for another challenge, and I really wanted to begin to build something on my own within the construct of an agency environment with which I was pretty comfortable. So for me, revenue transformation and trying to begin to build something of my own within an agency has been a little bit unique and a little bit different in that agencies traditionally are just built on having a biz dev guy or a dev girl, and they're out waiting for RFPs to land into their lap, or maybe they're out trying to work with search consultants, or very, very few of them are actually trying to build their own revenue engine. So for me, at least over the last couple of years, it's been a relatively novel concept as we look to kind of try to transform how intelligent demand is going to market while building our brand, while also realizing that what we tell our clients in terms of trying to contribute meaningfully to pipeline is something that we want to do for ourselves as well. So for me, it's been literally working to help transform the revenue aspirations in our revenue program for an entire marketing agency. And now, Dana, I think we're going to move on into make some introductions here for the other panelists that have joined us tonight. So I just want to say to everybody on the line, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Super excited to kind of talk to you tonight about really our topic of how marketers can best support sales during tough times. And we're going to talk about tips and tricks and experiences that our panelists have. And, you know, super excited about you choosing to spend a little bit of your evening with us. And if you're like me, you've got to be inundated right now with requests to join webinars and panels and presentations and virtual events, road shows. And I know it's overwhelming, and I know there's a lot of rough content out there, but I can promise you this. This is going to be an evening of great conversation that I really think is going to help marketers become better advocates for sales, and certainly help provide insights from an amazing panel that bridges both sides of the sales and marketing aisle. And before we start, I just want to say thank you to each of the three panelists for donating your time tonight and making time to take part. Super excited to kind of learn from your experience. So with that, let's begin. Jump in with some introductions to our panelists. Up first, Joe Caston Joe, super high energy guy, entrepreneurial minded, business leader, and he has a successful track record of growing innovative technology companies in the digital marketing and the software, the SaaS space. And his expertise is in sales and marketing, business development, and general management. He is also the founder and the CEO of CapSumo, which happens to be our presenting partner for this evening's panel. Joe, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
All right, Joe, this is kind of the first time that we've met over the last little bit of time here, getting to know you as we prepared for tonight's event. So humor me here for a moment. Clearly, you love building businesses with fun and positive kind of team-oriented cultures that create value for stakeholders. But right now, we know that things are different, and we're here to kind of talk a little bit about how that current environment has impacted all of us. How have you been able to apply that team-oriented cultural mindset to growing your business during something like the COVID pandemic?
Yeah, interesting question. It's been different, no less with COVID. Before COVID, we did about 50% of our business virtually, and the last 6 months it's been almost 100%. But we still focus on the main culture items that we have. We like to do business win-win-win, everybody we touch. We like to employ integrity, doing the right thing, being above board. We're fanatical about taking great care of our customers. We like to work in a team-oriented fashion towards a common set of goals. And lastly, have fun at what we do. It's been a little harder not being in person to have fun. We've done some virtual happy hours. We haven't all been able to get together, and our team's spread out not only across Denver, but in other countries. Some of our developers are there, so it's been different, but we continue to focus on our core elements, and that's what's gotten us through.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely challenging in that sense for everyone. Up next, I'd like to introduce Cheryl Ader-Dunn. Cheryl leads Ogilvy's employee experience practice, and that includes the service pillars of employee activation, sales, and service activation, and marketing activation. I can't forget that. All focused on driving employee groups to embrace and deliver on a brand's promise or a business strategy. And she one-ups me, 30 years of experience in client and agency roles, and she provides an amazing depth of experience translating to effective solutions for B2B and B2C clients. So Cheryl, say hello.
Hi, thanks for that nice intro.
Of course. And all right, Cheryl, you're on the spot here.
Okay.
What are some of the ways that you and the team there have been able to really actively listen to some of the challenges that your clients are facing kind of right now during a very, very challenging time?
I think in this case, I think what we've been doing is really making sure we're talking to the source. So we have made sure that we are able to talk to the salespeople to understand what that frontline is like right now. So as we're developing programs, we understand their core barriers that they're facing and can address that in the solutions we provide. A lot of times if we go through a marketing contact and we don't have that interaction with the salesperson, we're going to miss the mark. So it's always critical. A lot of our projects, we're starting with a lot of sales interviews to really understand what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. We're seeing some of the challenges as well. So thanks so much for being here tonight. All right. Last but not least, Garrett Cole. I'd like to introduce Garrett tonight. He's the VP of Strategy at Indigo Agriculture, and it's a venture-backed ag tech company focused on harnessing nature to help farmers sustainably feed the planet. He's a 20-year vet of B2B sales and marketing and tech and services verticals. And his experience, and I know Garrett a little bit, has come from working with companies of all sizes, from early stage to larger enterprises. So Garrett, so glad you could make it tonight. Please say hello.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
Awesome. So what's cooking with you? Like, what's your typical day look like right now, kind of during a very volatile kind of period of time in history?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't start with an airplane. And so So that's a good thing. So our target customer is a farmer of commodity crops, and so all those states that many of us fly over between LA and New York is where our customer base is. And in this pandemic, you couldn't really tell corn to stop growing, and so we had to persevere. And the other thing to know about agriculture, it's a handshake business, and so we had to really adapt, and our customer base had to adapt to doing Zoom based meetings. Today we did a meeting as a farmer was in his combine cutting corn, and so I think it's adapting to. We all have to adapt, but I think it's more adapting to your customer base and fitting into how their world has changed and adjusting your sales motion to coincide with that. So yeah, my day starts at 5 o'clock, take care of myself, and then jump on a Zoom and rinse and repeat.
Right on. I think you touched on a couple of themes there. I think the idea of adaptation right now, and certainly I would add being flexible, that I think we're going to probably hear coming up as we dive into the panel discussion. So, all right, so you've met our panelists for this evening, and I am ready to jump in. So let's do this. Obviously we're living through some historic times, and certainly we've seen the impact of the pandemic just changing many, many facets of our daily lives. And certainly as part of that, not only the pure health toll that it's taken a large economic toll on many companies, individuals, organizations, and frankly, even during the best of times, the support, the alignment, that collaboration between sales and marketing can be tough to crack open and keep open and really keep it working seamlessly. So as we are beginning to enter into our discussion here, and as we kind of frame the conversation, let's begin to kind of think about how the current climate is impacting those relationships between sales and marketing, and think about and discuss amongst ourselves how marketing teams really can better support sales, but also how sales can really leverage what they have, what they're receiving from marketing, hopefully what they're collaborating with marketing on to drive pipeline, even during uncertain times. So I'm gonna go ladies first here. Cheryl, I'm gonna tee you up for the first question of the night, and then we'll begin our round robin and our conversation here. So before we do that though, show of hands, and this can be of our panelists, how many of you have had a conversation with your CEO or your CMO or your CRO, where she said, like, totally okay for us to miss targets this month, this quarter, this year, no big deal. How many of you have had, your CEO, your C-suite has said, no big deal? That is a 0.0, as Dean Wormer once said. So Cheryl, what are you hearing out there from your internal teams that is positive, negative, or otherwise about kind of where you are or where your clients are here as we enter Q4?
And I can speak, this represents the company I work for as well as our clients, is that we're seeing that certain aspects of the business are down and certain aspects of the business are growing. So in certain companies where you have a B2B group and you have a B2C group, the B2C group might be down, but the B2B is growing. So I think that's what we're seeing, that there's a shift in balance and there's a shift in focus of some of our clients to address what's going on in the market. Additionally, I think we're seeing changes in channels. So we have some clients who are, example, in food products, where certain channels in food service might be up and might be down. So I think what we're seeing is a shift to adjust to what's going on in the market, where they're seeing opportunity, they're taking advantage of it, and where they're down now, they're quiet, but they will get back up over time.
Yeah, I echo that as well, and I think I'd love to hear from Joe and or Garrett as well on this, but the comment I think is interesting. We are seeing some of those shifts for our own marketing efforts, as well as kind of what we're trying to provide, say, right now. And honestly, we feel like one of the biggest things that we can do for our clients as well as for the agency is really to make sure that it's not just enablement, but it's the right tools at the right time. We're trying to also, from a channel perspective, bring the SDR function a little bit further up, or a little bit earlier in the journey, if you will, and that seems to be showing some early signs of success in terms of some of our overall client results.
Let me add
Joe,
in.
Garrett, what are you guys hearing?
So let me add in a little bit. It's been an interesting 6 months from that perspective. When COVID first hit, it was like shock and awe, and I think it took people a little while to kind of get out of that and start to move forward and figure out how to adapt. And at our business, we've seen a lot of service businesses change the way they're going about their business. When they did a lot of networking with some marketing, I think that these trends have accelerated digital marketing way into the future, no matter where they were as a business. And some of those strategies and tactics have changed, and people have finally gotten to the point where they say, I need to figure out how to survive the way we are, and I need to do more business virtually. And so we've seen a lot of that with our client group.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, moving on a little bit here, Garrett, this one's for you. This one's specifically for the. I think you'll like this one. Okay. Talk to me about your goals from a revenue perspective, from a sales perspective, pandemic or not, and specifically pandemic. Like, have your goals changed? Like, have you seen your goals increase? Have they been the same? Have they decreased? Kind of what have you done to kind of reassess priorities and opportunities right now?
Yeah, fortunately, our goals did not change. I think our go-to-market has changed 42 times in how we do that. And, we were blessed in the middle of the pandemic to raise a Series F round. And, our company is trying to do the right things to prepare ourselves for an IPO at some point. And so that journey does not allow you to dip and underperform compared to previous years, pandemic or not. There's no asterisk on that go public plan. And so what we've been doing is just giving ourselves freedom to fail and innovate and test and try, and fail and innovate and test and try, and keep going, and trying to find where the water flows through the cracks, and not stopping until we get close to that quota. So ours has remained the same since the beginning of the year, but our approach to getting there has changed dramatically.
Quick follow-up to that, Garrett. You'd mentioned test and learn. It kind of piqued my interest a little bit. Sometimes that can be scary for organizations to say we're testing a thing, or we're going to test and learn. And how do you guys internalize that and leverage that idea, which I think is the way to do it? But how do you guys internalize that and make it feel okay that it might be a test and we might not know exactly what the outcome is going to be?
Yeah, I think it's part of our culture. Many of us have that consulting background where, we get excited by a blank sheet of paper and trying to get to that point that people can react to things. Just logistically speaking, as a revenue team, we meet every Tuesday, Thursday, and just look at anything in the previous week that went good, bad, or indifferent that we want to immediately shoot or double down on. And so we try not to leave a big lag time to assess metrics, because if we waited a month, it's too long. Life has passed us by. There's a new distraction in the market. Our business fluctuates with the commodity market, which does its own thing based on politics and pandemics. And so we just create a short window of time to say, did that work, and not let it be a big period of time and miss out on an opportunity. And so it's kind of like, if it worked this week, let's try it next week. If it doesn't work, we're done and we try something else. And so I think it's just, it's part of a culture. It's a leadership, letting everybody else step into that and embrace that. That allows you to do that. And if ultimately the North Star is, hey, unless we're getting closer to that number, how can we sit back and just say, hey, I hope that's going to work. We just operate differently.
Very cool. Joe, I'm going to tee you up here for the next one. Thinking about kind of what's happening right now with the world, any number of things, right? 2020 has been interesting, let's say. In what ways has 2020, the pandemic, kind of encouraged you to, or maybe discouraged you? I don't think that'll be your answer, but maybe to demonstrate increased empathy in relationships with your customers and prospects. That is, are you making a pronounced effort to demonstrate, we understand what you're going through, right now, and if so, how's that paid off?
Early in the pandemic, it was really interesting because people didn't have a playbook about, how you move forward, and all the messaging that people had teed up all of a sudden didn't work anymore. And so that took a while to adapt the messaging, but things that I still hear all the time is, I hope you're well, I hope you're doing good. You're constantly communicating that. You're more concerned about people's health, and it's okay to talk about it and ask about it, and for vice versa for people. But just trying to understand people's situation, because every business and person is different. I mean, as you know, there are some businesses that have accelerated during the pandemic and some have just been crushed. So trying to understand where people are at and just trying to show and demonstrate empathy, whether it's through messaging or personal contact, has really been helpful. And I've appreciated it on the other end.
Any tips that you would offer, just as a quick follow there, as far as, I guess, I'm leading the witness here a little bit, so bear with me, but not coming off as sympathetic or coming off as disingenuous. Any tips or thoughts there on how you make sure it feels genuine?
I think just having honesty and integrity and kind of moving forward in your relationships is key. And the other thing is to watch out that you don't do it too much, because, that could come off as disingenuous. It needs to be in that manner.
Can I chime in?
Please.
So with our clients who have sales teams, I think that this is not a new territory, but I think they have to double down on empathy right now. And a lot of them, that means you need to go in and understand your client's business. And a lot of times that client's business either has been turned upside down, or they have a new set of stakeholders who are now involved in a decision, and they have more people they need to, satisfy and address their needs. So I think the whole notion of empathy comes in with training salespeople. How do you train them for empathy? And I think that's one of the things we're working towards, is we have an offering specifically to do that, because I think that's coming in differently as a salesperson. It's not going in and selling something. It's going in and first understanding the problem, first being prescriptive and helping that client address that need, and then offering the solution that works. So I think that's where we're coming at it from an empathy standpoint when we think about our clients and our customers.
Garrett, I actually want to give you a chance to see if you have anything to add to that. She touched on an interesting thing about training, and I don't know if you were maybe considering that, and in terms of how you're talking to your team right now. No right or wrong answer. Just curious more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, we spend probably an excessive amount of time preparing for meetings, and so I'll speak to now that I have somebody's attention. How do you keep it? Yeah, I think this is a time when words matter, more than anything. I think as a culture, we're starting to become more sensitive through the trials and tragedies of 2020. And so we spend a lot of time preparing the presentations we're going to make, the meetings we're conduct, how we're going to do that. And, we're trying to create that in-person feeling through this platform. And so we usually have a broad audience to role play to, and everybody has an opportunity to coach and critique, and for the team presenting, being vulnerable is the place to kind of start. So I think this is a time to be aware of yourself and your actions and your words, most importantly. And so we accomplish that through a lot of preparation and coaching.
That's awesome, man. I love you guys. This is a great discussion. So thank you so much for all three of you just like chiming in there with just awesome perspective. So, all right, let's keep rolling here. Next question, Cheryl. I think we're back to you. Lead us off here. At either Ogilvy or with your clients, are you seeing that folks? This is like kind of a loaded question because it feels like some parts of the country are like, oh yeah, the pandemic's over, let's go back to the beach. But are you seeing that customers believe that they've largely resumed business as usual, even if from a working from home type environment? Or what changes maybe are you seeing in terms of their revenue commitments? This is kind of a tag on to the previous question, but what are they asking for right now? What do they need from you kind of the most?
So I don't think any client is looking at it as business as usual, but I do think there has been a lag time. I think to Joe's point that there was let's just wait it out and we'll get back to normal. There is no normal. I'm going to try not to use that term because everybody's using that term, but just what is our plan now to move forward? 2021 is coming up. How do we get back to a sense of adding value to our customers? How do we get sense back to making sure we have enough leads to close deals in 2021? So I think that right now it's the what do we do to plan for next year? And what they need from us is help in bridging the gap where they have some loss. So I think things like they have not had in-person meetings, so in-person events. So that has impacted their ability to get leads. So how can we help them bridge that gap with other activities? We all know there's a lot more activity digitally, both with Zoom calls as well as with marketing. How do we make sure, and I know we'll talk about this soon, how do we make sure that's aligned? And how can we as a third party help them do that? So I think that's what they're starting to look to us for. So as we plan for 2020, 2021, help us be in the right track as we start.
Cool. Joe, Garrett, anything you guys would like to add there? I think that was an excellent response, Cheryl. All right. Well, I'm really excited about the next question, and I'm going to keep us moving because I saw some new research today, and I'm going to share it with you guys. I'm going to lay it on you right now from Demand Gen report, and it was about buyer behaviors and shifts in behaviors. And our questions are right along the lines of this research, so I thought it was really relevant and wanted to share it today. But a new report from Demand Gen report had said that roughly 2/3 of B2B buyers have said that their sales cycles have increased. In other words, they're taking longer to make that decision and say, yep, we'll sign here and we're good to go as a result of economic and environmental conditions. And nearly half have said that they've had to postpone B2B purchases as a result of budget freezes, which both of those things are unsavory. But I don't think it's all bad news. And I think here's where there's an opportunity. And what Demand Gen report had said was more than 3/4 of them, more than 75% of B2B buyers report that they expect a heightened level of personalization from brands, from marketers, from us. And I think it's that point right there that's really worth exploring. So at a high level, Garrett, I'm going to throw this your way first. Do you agree with that? Are you seeing, elongated sales cycles? Are you seeing issues with postponements or delays? And do you believe that, you know, a way through that is greater personalization?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to put in the context of our business. We don't really match up with that. I think what I would say to myself as a rep, if I was selling something, was, you know, I think in this time, it's not the time to get the home run. It's time to get the single. I think getting engaged is the key here, and not conquering the world. So we, in our business, so if you look at if anybody's into farming, a grower produces acres become bushels. And so rather than trying to capture 50% of their bushels, if we can get them to sell, you know, 1%, then they're engaged, we're connected, we can start to have a relationship, we can talk about what we're going to go do next. And so I think it's really hard to have this hyper personalization until you have a relationship. At least in our world, there's no data you can buy. There's no, you know, Dun and Bradstreet for, you know, farmer in middle America. So we have to uncover that. We have to earn that. I think it's important to capture it into, you know, back to this comment of empathy and sensitivity and understanding who you're working with. But try to make that quick win versus that enterprise sale, I guess, would be my reaction to that comment of, if it is truly taking longer, how do you shorten it? You kind of ask for less, and you earn the rest once you're in the door.
Joe, how about you? Have you seen buyer habits kind of changing, or the behaviors changing a little bit here because of the pandemic? Are you seeing that they're more or less likely to kind of engage with you? And if so, how are you getting through that?
So early on, when the pandemic first hit, our existing business was steady, and the new business just died for probably 6 or 7 weeks, and then it came back. And so people did slam on the brake, and then they started to put the gas back on. I will say that I think there's a mindset of cautiousness, you know, with regards to cash flow and making sure, you know, that people were getting their cash to spend money. And, you know, the easiest way to die is to stop spending money on marketing and sales, because you'll die quickly. So it's important that you continue to do some things and the right things to grow your business. So those are my thoughts.
Are the objections any different during this time than maybe they were pre-COVID, or are they largely, or are they blaming the pandemic, or are they largely the same objections that a lot of folks are used to hearing, not the right time, or my budget got slashed, or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I've seen both sides of the fence. There's some businesses that are doing well and they just start pushing on the gas, and there's other ones saying my business isn't where it needs to be and I'm uncomfortable making certain commitments or making lesser commitments to move their business forward.
Cheryl, I'd love to hear your perspective on this one as well. Are you seeing any differences in buyer behavior, either on behalf of your clients or at the agency?
Yes. So our clients, so as we're pitching new work and we're working with clients, it's taking a lot longer to close the deal. And we're doing iteration after iteration after iteration of a scope, because I think there are a lot of other stakeholders on their end where they have to get approval from many different groups. So those clients too are being very critical of how they're spending their money, as Joe said. So I think that's what's taking longer, is that they want to make sure that they're getting the best value for what they're spending.
Awesome. You guys, this has been amazing so far, and I want to thank you guys again. And we are going to move into some questions from the audience in 1 second. I have one final question for you, and I think Cheryl, you just finished. I'm going to let you kick off this one as well. But just in terms of right now, we've talked about empathy. I love what you just walked us through in terms of kind of some of those dynamics that are impacting their ability to kind of the iteration thing. I mean, yes, and I think so. What do you do? What are you doing right now to really strengthen relationships with clients and customers? Have you even looked at other pieces of that revenue cycle? Maybe rather than just focusing on acquisition, are you looking at other elements of like retention and expansion? I know, personally, I've heard some of our clients say, boy, and Joe, you also kind of nailed it as well. Kind of earlier on, it really felt like the brakes just hit they just stopped. But I digress here for a moment. Sorry, Cheryl. But we were also seeing that, and in terms of we're hearing like, hey, if I could just retain what I've got right now, I would almost take that as a win. And growing those accounts, I think, would be the cherry on top. So back to the beginning there, Cheryl. Like, how have you guys worked on strengthening your relationships right now?
Yeah, and so there are two angles here. The one is give to get. So we're doing a lot of thought leadership, a lot of playbooks, a lot of things related to what's going on in the market overall. So as employee experience, we have people who are working from home. We have people who are returning to the workplace. So we have a playbook on how to help leaders move through that cycle. We have a team that's doing a playbook on justice and your brand and how do you show up in the market appropriately. We have a team in Asia that just came out with a playbook about virtual events and how are you successful at doing that. So giving clients things to work with that are not costing them anything, but are establishing the relationship that we're invested in their business. We understand what's going on. And the second part is working on our entire network. So we have, Ogilvy is a very large network. And so we're working on organic growth within clients. So we're in with one opportunity. It might be a branding client, but we see an opportunity for something else. We might bring in the social team, or we might bring in there's a sales enablement team that goes along with the demand gen that they're doing. So I think we're seeing the opportunity to expand our business based on where we're sit today. And that's more successful than going out for net new business.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? I lied. I want to throw one more question here. I want to make sure we don't miss this one. So I'm going to pivot to it very, very quickly. But Joe, I'd like for you to kind of lead us into this one. But, right now, kind of the biggest thing is setting and managing expectations between sales and marketing teams. How are you doing that right now? Has that changed at all during the pandemic? But really, how are you making sure that those teams, as much as you can, are aligned, are collaborative? What are you doing right now to support that conversation and that alignment?
From our perspective and dealing with our clients, one of the biggest things that we've seen is a lot of our customers used to get a lot of their business from networking and from face-to-face events and having those relationships, typical sales cycles. And when that's went away, they've been more hungry to still do the lead gen and, to be able to fill the top of their pipeline with opportunities. And some of the things that we've done, and these aren't in a particular order, one is a lot of micro touches, because I think any time in the sales process, whether it's one-on-one or one-to-many, being able to touch those clients with emails and LinkedIn in a variety of ways so that they see your brand and you're touching them. So we're helping our clients do that a lot, and that's been pretty helpful along the way, is the micro touches. But expectations is that they're hungry and they want help. And I think people are they're going further in the digital world. I really believe that the pandemic has pushed us from 2020 to 2030 in the digital world in every way. And every company's different about what they were doing digitally, but each one of them has pushed further along. And so that's what I'd say some of the expectations are.
Nice. Garrett, I'd really love to hear from you on this. Put you on the spot here as far as, anything you guys are doing either differently or more of, or you've stopped doing to kind of foster that great collaboration between those cross-functional teams?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to get them to adapt our same experimental nature, and it's not all about the MQL. It's, with this account it might be meetings, in that account it might be revenue, in that account it might be getting more people to transact, and so kind of being free to have a variety of KPIs that seem to bring us together, but all anchor on revenue. I mean, that is the name of the game for those that are able to step on the gas. It's opportunistic, and those that are hanging on, it's generated. And so we try to anchor everything back to revenue. At the end of the day, that's where we're both here. That's what pays our checks, and we won't be able to squabble about anything if we don't have it. So that's where we start, that's where we end, and that's where we kind of anchor all of our activities around.
Awesome. Well, I wanted just to quickly here say thanks again. We've reached the end of our formal question period here and conversation. Such a great, robust conversation. Just want to say thank you one more time to Cheryl, Garrett, and Joe. Looking forward to kind of taking some questions now from some of the audience members. Dana, I'll turn that over to you real quick, and you can take us forward here.
As is sometimes the way, we have a very quiet audience today. We have a number of people on the webinar, but we don't seem to have any questions coming through yet. I would encourage everyone to feel free to pop any questions that you might have in the Q&A. We have another 10-15 minutes. Excellent. Hello, Maddie. Go for it. We're waiting for you. Feel free to.
Can I ask one? Can I ask one? I have one of Garrett. I would love to know from you. So going through all your shifts, your changes, doing Zoom, is there anything you think you will retain and keep doing as you go back to the normal way of business?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest challenge of agricultural sales is being in a truck. And so if you picture Kansas, no disrespect to anybody who's been there, it's a lot of farms, and so you can probably see four farmers in a day, and your cost to acquire that meeting, and if that meeting misses, is very expensive. And so I think what we will sell virtually. Our business is such that we created a digital platform for growers and buyers to transact grain in a world that's foreign. They aren't looking for that, right? And so, we need to take them on a digital revolution in just the way that they do business, and we can lead that by the way that we interact with them. And so, being able to go from 4 meetings per day for a sales rep to 8 to 10 sees huge return on investment for us. I think there's still going to be some handshake aspects to that business, but it can be a lot more calculated. We also started to lean on a lot of satellite data to direct where our salespeople spend their time. So the other aspect of that is if I come off a driveway and I turn right or I turn left and I pick the wrong direction, my time is depleted. And so in order to maximize when we do have windows of opportunity to be in person, we've leaned on some satellite data to help orchestrate where the teams go in order to be most effective. So those are probably our biggest changes. And then just as a team supporting them, we used to be very much, hey, let's all meet in the office and get in a room and figure this out. And I think, just yesterday we all kind of, hey, I'd like to come have a beer with you, but I don't think I want to work in an office with you anymore. And that's just because our efficiency has gone through the roof. It's just, you kind of can kind of go back to back. But when many of us have a lot on our plate, we've been able to be just more effective as a team in this environment than okay, I flew all night to get here and I'm exhausted, but yeah, let's knock out an 8-hour day and try to make it work. So those are probably the shifts that we'll make and see how it goes.
Thanks, Garrett.
Yeah.
So Maddie, who's joining us today, has posed the question, and I think this possibly applies most to Cheryl and Garrett, just on some of the comments that have been raised throughout. What about the foot in the door? We're a SaaS product with lots of added modules. I was about to say molecules. I don't know where that came from. Do you think it makes sense to start low when budgets are maybe down and then build up when the dust settles? My concern is you'll get new clients to sign on. They'll either not have a great experience because they needed those added modules, or they'll be fine how they were and we've lost that upsell opportunity.
Let me jump in here.
Yeah, Joe, go for it.
So in the SaaS world, I think, certainly the pricing of your product and the aha moment is really huge. I mean, depending on your price point and what your model is, if you have a freemium model or if you have free service for so long, you definitely need to get people in the door, and you need to have really good success management once you sign somebody up to get them to use the product and train them, and if there's any technical hurdles, I think. But I love being able to get people to try your product. And the question is, Maddie, what's the aha moment when they realize your product is so awesome that they need to move forward with it? And so those are some things that I think are good to think about in your approach.
Cheryl, go for it. Okay. I mean, I think anytime you can get in the door, you take that opportunity, even if you feel like the upsell is where you want to land. You won't get there until they get a taste of your product. But I think more importantly in this time is they get the experience with you and your company. And people are buying companies and brands more than ever for the way in which they've responded to a variety of topics in this 2020 and what their brand stands for. I think we as consumers are buying companies and what they stand for. And I think getting somebody in the door allows you to differentiate yourself as a company. And I think you can make that decision, especially on SaaS software, is based on somebody's unique situation. Do you allow them to use that for a period of time? Do you allow them to, have a voice on how the product might evolve? Like, there's a lot of different ways that you can engage with them if they are a customer versus if they're a prospect and engaging with somebody else. So I'd get them in the door.
Thanks, Garrett. This one's for Cheryl. Cheryl, Cynthia has written that you mentioned the give to get and mentioned offering thought leadership playbooks and helping leaders moving back to the office, being successful in events. Are there any other topics that you and your team are sharing with your clients?
Yes, we're currently working one on specifically for sales and with 3 components. One, as I mentioned before, is the whole notion of empathy and empathy training. The other one is sales interaction mapping. So you have a digital customer journey usually, and a lot of times sales and sales enablement is off doing something over there and they're not talking. So doing a workshop to do that. So I think any thought leadership, and we've developed thought leadership for our clients around this importance of this. And then the whole notion of prospecting, making sure you have a perspective and we have a point of view on how to up your game on prospecting when you don't have in-person events. So those are the additional topics that we will be sending to clients. And
Cheryl, I thought interesting you mentioned, I think, a justice initiative as well. That's something that, from a topical perspective, we're trying to take on and do our little part at Intelligent Demand as well around social justice, as you know, making it more a part of our go-to-market and trying to make a little bit of an impact, even a small impact if we can here in Denver. And that's one of the things that we're working on during these times too. And I love I love that you guys are as well.
One more topic that I forgot, employee experience. So right now, clients, prospects are looking at your company and how you treat your own employees. So I think you've seen, especially when the essential businesses like grocery stores, how they treated their employees got in the news. So this has now become a mandate that a company who works with you might look at how your employees are treated. They might look at what the satisfaction is. So I think that's another piece that we have a strong perspective in the market that we're sharing with clients, that you need to make sure your employees are part of your brand experience, because that's how your customers are looking at them.
Okay, we have a couple more minutes for questions. I have done a call out, but I can't see anything else coming through. So just one last call out if anyone would like to pose any questions for our panelists. Okay. I would like to say a warm thank you to Mike, Joe, Garrett, and Cheryl for their valuable insights today. Thank you for joining us. It was really insightful, and it was great to have you all here, so thank you. They'll share their contact information now in the chat should anyone wish to contact them. Thanks to everyone for attending today. We have free webinars coming up on a range of topics, including applying Scrum methods to scaling digital teams. That'll be on October 8th at 1 p.m. Tips for managing and motivating remote work teams. That's on October 29th at 1 p.m. And how to build an effective content strategy, which is on November 12th at 2 p.m. We also have a holiday event currently being planned, so that'll be for sometime in December. But if anyone would like to join us for any of these events, please feel free to visit our website, and I'm going to put those links in the chat now. There's also information on our membership, but yeah, feel free to visit our website and have a look at the information for our upcoming events. Lastly, a big thank you to our partners, including CapSumo, our presenting partner today. Joe, a big thank you. We appreciate all of the support from our partners. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you for attending, and we hope to see you at an upcoming event soon.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.